stash shop update for you today, back in stock. We have the Unipin fine liners in varying widths and sizes, including the ever popular teeny tiny brush, which y'all seem to love so much. Secret out, I like them too. Also, we have these little square and chunky sketchbooks back in stock as well. These seem to be really popular. They're very compact, but there's a lot of pages in them, and it's really good quality cartridge paper. It's 140 GSM. It will take a little bit of water. I was having this discussion with someone via email the other night, and it's actually surprising that for 140 GSM paper, this does well with a little bit of wet media. It is sized, which I think makes all the difference. I've only got two of these, but they are there. I've got the A5 landscape version, so opens this way. Exactly the same paper, just in a different format. There are less pages in this though. There's 95 pages or 190 sides in the chunky one, and there's 92 sides or 46 pages in these. So I do have two of these if you would prefer a rectangular format rather than the little square one. I've got some sketchbook seconds back in. Now this is a selection of C. White's sketchbooks that have either been mismanufactured, misfoil printed, or they have been returns, that kind of thing. And I've got a huge variety of sizes and shapes. We have some little A6, just the stapled ones here. These are great little pocket books just to take with you. And you can see this one's had all sorts of things stamped on it. And this is vegan friendly paper that's in this little one. And we have everything right up to hardback A4, and you can see this has been a practice print job, and there's stuff stamped on it everywhere. The stickers are still on them to tell you what the paper is, and you can see there, aside from the fact that it's been stamped all over, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. These are really, really cheap. Like, this is a cost-effective way to get hold of good quality paper. And there's these little brown cover, these little craft cover ones. I've actually kept one of these for myself because I just really like this Salts logo on the front. These are the Eco sketchbooks, and I also love a rounded corner. I'm a big fan. I've got a handful of these as well, and these just seem like great little project books, you know, if you wanted to do a study on something. So if you would like any of these items, or you want to check out some of the quality used art supplies that we've got, head over to the stash shop at the website here and grab yourself a bargain. Let's get on with the video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and it is time for a Scrawlrbox. Once again, we've been in the wars a wee bit, but I think we're okay. This is, of course, the monthly subscription box from here in the UK, where we get a nice selection of art supplies, a sticker, a featured artist and a magazine to give us some inspiration, and of course the Scrawlr challenge prompt to give us something to work towards with our art supplies. Ooh, oh, interesting. Francesca, this is someone that we know already as well. I think I follow Francesca on Instagram already. Yeah, Superfluo. Yes, okay. So I know this artist. This is interesting. It looks like we are getting some sort of ink or pens. And here is our Scrawlr zine. That has patterns enough to make your eyes go together. We'll check that out in a wee while. That seems a lot thicker than normal. I might just be making that up, but we'll soon figure that out. This is nice. I like the design. I'm not one for making patterns myself, but I find things like this very aesthetically pleasing. We do have some A5 mixed media paper here, 10 sheets. It is white, it has a little bit of texture. I think this looks like Scrawlrbox own brand. I am loving the cover of this. This looks lovely. Okay, let's see what we've got supplies wise. This is all very tidy. We should have a sweet and a sticker. Yes, we do. Okay, here is our sticker. Oh, it's a super, that doesn't fit in with anything, but it's a, our sweet is, oh, it's a bubbly, and these blow really big bubbles. This is like proper traditional bubble gum. I really like them, they're fun. We have got, it's a pencil. I don't think I've gotten It's a pencil sticker. We're starting to pack stuff up here in the cave, so there's some things that aren't immediately obvious. It is a Faber-Castell, and it is the 9000 series. These are really common sketching pencils. They're good quality, they're reliable, and it is a 2B, which is one of my favourite grades of pencil to use, so happy to have that on board. We've also got a Copic multi-liner. I haven't seen one of these in a wee while. This is black, and it is a 1.0, so it is chunky. It is a thick liner, not a fine liner. call them the thick liner. Chonky, so that's going to give quite a thick line, which is interesting. And we also have a set of Ecoline Duo Tip markers. Now, from what I remember, these Ecoline markers, they're water soluble, so they give a sort of painterly effect, and you can dilute them out. I think these are the same idea, they're just a twin tip version. Please feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And we do have the primary colours. Yeah, Ecoline Duo Tip. Oh, it's a chisel. Oh no. It's a chisel. I'm not really a fan of a chisel. This feels nice. This feels like a substantial marker. And we've got a bullet tip as well. Bog standard bullet tip. No, I don't really know how I feel about this. Honestly, don't know how I feel about this. It's a set of markers. Well, we'll try them out. We'll see. We'll try them out and see how we go. I've just realised that the tips are actually drawn on the front of the box. Come on, Jem. Jeez. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more about the supplies. Ecoline Duo Tip markers. Recommended retail price is $14.35 per set of 3. A favourite among artists, designers. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can read by yourself if that's what you like to do. A favourite among artists, designers and illustrators alike, the Ecoline Duo Tip markers feature a bright yet transparent, that kind of shows up in the featured artist's design. You can see the layers, okay. Liquid watercolour ink made from dye and gum arabic, so yeah, it is absolutely soluble. Complete with a broad chisel tip on one side and a fine bullet nib on the other. These pens not only allow for beautiful watercolour creations, but freedom of expression to make fine detail, broad lines, fluid strokes, blah 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 blah. Okay, so what they're saying is it's a really versatile marker. Add water and a brush for more watercolour effects and perfect colour transitions, or apply directly to the page. Best stored horizontally. A Copic multi-liner. An exceptional fine line pen, it's not fine, it's thick, designed to take on all of your drawing needs, sketching, outlining, technical. I have to say the Copic multi-liners they're very reliable, I quite like them. The recommended retail price is $4.79. See, for any fine liner, I think that's a bit steep. Nearly a $5 for a black pen. Maybe wouldn't be paying that if that was what was required. The good thing about these Copic markers as well, they're resistant to alcohol inks because obviously they're designed by Copic to go with alcohol markers. So they're pretty robust in terms of the ink that's in them, so that's a really good plus point of them. Let's see what it says about the pencil. Artist quality, graphite pencil is perfect for any of your drawing, scrolling and sketching. Comfortable to hold, really, okay. The consistent laydown is also light fast, that's good to know. Recommended retail price at £1.40. Okay, the mixed media pad, versatile and slightly textured paper pad. It's a hybrid between drawing and watercolour paper. 250 GSM, so it's fairly thick paper. Same sort of thickness you would get from a watercolour paper. Ideal for use with acrylics, watercolours, gouache, ink, pastels, pens, markers and pencil. Recommended retail price $2.99. Again, very reasonably priced for what it is. So yeah, excellent. I was quite impressed with the last one, so I'm hoping that this is going to have some good stuff in it. So our front page here is the sort of overview of all the supplies, which is why we don't do this first. That's why we look at the stuff in the box. And we have an interview with Francesca. And I do follow her on Instagram because this looks very, very familiar to me. And she kind of like specialises in geometric patterns. And I find it absolutely fascinating because I would say patterns aren't my thing at all. So there's some questions there. And here we have our Scrawlr tips, which I found very helpful last time. So they're talking about the pens, what you can do with them, and removing mistakes, using a wet cloth or tissue and push directly into the area to remove the pigment, creating effects with water, blending, the touch tip, blending technique, layering them up. Okay, so really helpful, useful information and some nice... I actually used to have a shirt like this, like an actual blouse behind the artwork. Okay, primary colours, talking a bit about, talking colour theory as well. Look, tertiary colours. Oh, do love a bit of tertiary colours. That in itself, see if you don't read anything else in the magazine, just read that bit. That's the good stuff. Okay, the Scrawlr gallery for feminine energy. Oh yeah, I remember because we did Rosie the Riveter, that's right. Oh, look at these. These are great. I really like this one. And the top 3. Oh, look. This one's my favourite. Isabel, her Instagram handle is Scribbly Scribble. I love it. Yeah, okay, Isabel, that is absolutely beautiful. That is gorgeous. I really, really like that. I mean, these are all lovely, but that one's my favourite. So good. Life in polka dots. Okay, we're talking about polka dots. Okay, so they seem to be focusing a little bit on artists in this. It's the Scrawlr Extra now. I was not aware of this artist. Yayoi Kusamas, is that how you pronounce it? Not familiar to me at all, so a little bit of education for me there. And the details of their live that they're going to have. The next one is the 22nd of June. I may be in the throes of packing. I might not even have any internet by that point. We'll see, we'll find out. So before we test these supplies out, let's look at the prompt and see what it says. 1, 2, 3... Kaleidoscope. What do the colours mean to you? Taking inspiration from this month's featured artist, we encourage you to explore what emotions colours evoke for you and how that might be expressed onto a page. Overlap, reflect and repeat to form your very own harmonies and collision of magical colour. I feel like this is kind of pushing us in this direction. That's, you know, that's what they're looking for. The same way as the feminine energy box was pushing for, you know, female portraits. I honestly don't know how I feel about that. I feel as if you're kind of railroaded into a particular thing, and I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being railroaded. It's actually happened to me just recently, which I was pretty annoyed about. Not an art related thing, thankfully. I'm not sure what I want to do with this. This will be a fairly quick swatch session. So that nearly came out all wrong there. Oh, that was dangerous. A swatch session. Okay, so let's see then. I'll show you this this pencil first. I love these graphite pencils. Like, these are like a comfy pair of slippers. It's got a nice point on it as well. The nice thing about a 2B is that if you want to, if you're going to create like a sketch layer, and you just want your basic sketch there, it is still light enough that you can use it for that, and it will erase. I don't know, for some reason I seem to have Mickey Mouse there, so I was just emanating Mickey Mouse for no apparent reason. But also if you want to use it for a little bit of shading as well, it has that versatility. Obviously it is a B pencil, so it is a bit softer, it's a bit squishier, especially on paper like this that's got a bit of texture though. You're going to be able to build up you know, a decent amount of contrast, and you can work away there quite the thing. And it also has that smudgy factor as well because it's a B pencil, so if you like to sort of squish things about a bit, soften it out, if you want like a blurry effect, you have that option there with that pencil. So I always think a 2B is a good all-rounder, and these are reliable, they don't break very often, they're easy to sharpen, so yeah, thumbs up there. Let's have a look at this coping. Like, ooh, this is meaty. The thing I like about a pen of this thickness is you can colour in blocks with it quite easily, you know, so you can get some really nice thick lines. And if you want to draw something that's with a thicker outline to make it pop out from the paper, if you just double up on your line there, you know, that gives you a fairly thick outline without having to do much work as well. So there are advantages to having a fine liner that's got this big a nib on it. If you go easy and kind of tilt it slightly, because the top of this pen is actually dome shaped, like it's kind of rounded at the top. So if you go on the edge, you can actually get thinner lines. So if you compare this to this, you're actually getting more out of this fine liner than you would just a fine liner. A finer fine liner. So yeah, I'm all up for this for versatility. So I've drawn this square deliberately. I'm going to let that dry for a good little bit, and then we're going to test these markers on the top of it, just to make sure it is going to stay put and it does what it says on the, I nearly said on the tin there. I understand that phrase means nothing to anyone outside of the UK. And right, okay, so let's get these colours out. Okay, that's more of a lemon yellow. Let's try out the... Wow. There is the chisel tip. We can layer this up to make it bolder. I should have kept the chisel tip out there. Come on, Jem. You don't want to be going too hard on this paper because that is tearing up the paper already. Ooh. Can we see this? Oh, I've smudged it as well. Yeah, the bits of the paper are coming off in my finger. Ugh. Yeah, look, can you see that? Yep. So that's good to know, so we need to go gently. I would suggest doing a layer, waiting, letting it dry, and then perhaps trying a second layer. See, that's dry now. So let's try this on the non-damaged half. Oh, I've got the paper on the end. Yeah, that's not going so well. Okay, that's quite juicy. Yeah, it doesn't really like that marker dragging on it. That hasn't upset the paper, but it's ruffled, shall we say. It's ruffled. You wouldn't want to irritate that any further. It's a bit like me when I get in a bad mood. Oh, the pink's a nice colour too. The bullet tips seem to be fine. They seem to be absolutely fine. I think we're just going to have to go really easy with this. Yeah, like see that? I like that better than what's going on. Let's just yeah, we just have to go gently because that's fine there now. I'm taking my time and I was using a really, really light stroke there and the paper's fine with it. Okay, so go easy with the markers on the paper. Them's the rules. Now, let's see what happens. I've got some water brushes here with some water in them, which helps. Ooh. Oh yeah, we can move that about. That's good. And paper seems reasonably happy there. So like we can fade that out. We can take that corner away. We never know it was a marker. Nice. Obviously, the wetter the marker is on the paper, the more you'll be able to move it about. It becomes a little bit trickier once it's dry, but that's quite impressive for dry marker, definitely. Like it a lot. Like it a lot. And the thing with these markers, and everyone always says this, is like, oh, you can scrape them onto a palette and you can use it like watercolour. If I wanted that, I would use watercolour. I wouldn't want a marker. But that gives us really nice options. So let's see what happens over here. Oh, that's not dry yet, look. Can you see we've muddied it? Oh my goodness. Okay, so drying time must be considerably more substantial. Let's see what it does with wet marker. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The other thing they were talking about was layering these colours up because there's a little bit of transparency. So just go easy, Gem. Ooh. Yeah, again, I would maybe embrace that a little bit more on different paper. Going on this paper might just not be the best idea. If I wanted to get like some sort of green as well. Also got a bit of paper there again. Okay, so yeah, these are very very blendable. So we've got options there, but obviously we can do a bit of colour mixing. That seems to not be a problem. Kind of upset about this because this means it's dry. It's dry. What did it say on the thing? You can draw with confidence without fear of ink bleeding and smudging. Right, that's a no bueno. I think that's a leave it overnight job. Just zoom in a little bit so that you can see that. So if we use this over the top, we'll just make sure that some of this is not dry. That's dry up there. This is definitely dry. Yeah, I think we can use the fine liner over the top of the marker. Yeah, that's not a problem. It's not happy the other way around. That's been drying for a good 5 minutes now. There is no way that fine liner isn't dry. Like, no way. It's dragging the ink from, you can see it there. Yeah, like that's no use. Okay, so for the purposes of whatever it is we end up doing with this Scrawlrbox, it's going to have to be fine liner later. Don't know what I'm going to do with the pencil either. There we go, so there is a supply test, and now we know what we're dealing with. So got a little sidetracked yesterday, ended up running out of time, but here we are the next day, fresh with a cup of tea this morning, and just thinking about this Scrawlr challenge. I'm actually going to take it literally. The idea of a kaleidoscope, and some of you will probably have had one as a kid if you're around my age. I don't think they were quite as popular later on, but you could buy really cheap ones and they were just a cardboard tube and you could twist the end and it gave you all the nice colours if you looked down it. And the sort of fancier ones were made of plastic because plastic was a thing when I was a child. They're very sort of serene. I really like them, especially if you had one on a sunny day. So I'm actually just going to go with that. Nothing wrong with taking a prompt literally every now and then. Maybe even like a diagram you would get in a magazine, you know, so maybe like a blow up view of what you can see inside. And weirdly, the cap for my camera lens it just looks to be exactly the size of what I'm looking for. It's got quite a few bumps in it though, but we can use that to draw around. And then we can beam out the, so that's going to come from there. I'm not going to spend too long on this, but it needs to look sort of semi-sensible. They were usually the cardboard ones as well, and they always had like patterns and stuff on them. Obviously, they were a kid's toy, so we want that to be quite apparent. So we'll do some work with that there. And then this was the bit, like this second ring that I've drawn here, that would be like the bit you would twist, so this whole section would turn. And I can use my liner pen there to draw this out, and then, well, that circle didn't go very well, did it? And then this would be obviously the lens at the front. So there's the end you're looking through. That's the only thing this morning I haven't warmed up my hand properly. I might regret this, especially working in ink. I've got very distinct and definitive guidelines here, so we can make a better job of this. Oh, my hand didn't like that. Oh dear. Okay, right, so this this thick part can come down and round a bit better, like that. Yep, okay. I'm going to fill this in. I seem to remember, God, it was such a long time ago because I'm, you know, not a young adult anymore. I seem to remember a Kaleidoscope, and it was made completely of black plastic. I think it was at my grandparents' house, but it was quite a big one. You could shake it and it would change the patterns inside. Oh, that's a really vague memory. I remember it being really pretty though, but see, I remember it being substantial, like it wasn't a little cardboard one. But I don't know, I think because it was a bit like if any of you ever had like the Mickey Mouse viewfinder type things that you put the cards in and click the, you know, the handle. When you're looking through one of those, there's this weird feeling of safety because you're kind of like encased, and some people don't like it at all, but I find that a very comforting thing. I'm going to keep pencil lines for this. Now the other thing I've done here is I have brought a palette with me, just in case we want to do some mixing. My suggestion is, first of all, that we let this dry. I'm actually going to dry this with a hairdryer or a heat gun as well, because I don't trust the fine liner from our previous experiments up here. But what I would like to do, squeak out a bit of this yellow. The yellow is fairly pale anyway, but I really want to water it down. I literally just want to take off the white of the paper for the projection point. Okay, I've just got one of my my sea white brushes here. This is a number 8 round, just for the purposes of what we need. So just a damp brush, and I'm just going to pick that colour back up off the palette, trying to keep away from that fine liner just in case. I don't seem to be getting on very well with fine liners and subscription boxes this last little while, so kind of being like overly cautious. Oh, magical. Kind of looks like a rhubarb and custard sweet now. Up for it. Yeah, so thinking about the pattern then, obviously it's like geometric shapes, and it's, you know, that's because of the nature of what it is, you know, there's going to be some sort of symmetry. Now, someone that's really good at doing mandalas should be able to do a really good job with this. I am not one of those people. But the easiest way for me to do this, I'm not saying that this is like not the right way, the right way, there's no such thing. I'm actually going to use a ruler for this as well, which I don't do very often. But I am going to use a ruler just to roughly split my circle in half. Oh, I wasn't far off the actual centre point there either, that was just a guess. Oh. I really like the idea of this lime green, and maybe try and make like a purpley colour as well. I think that would be quite nice. Because again, you know, you look in these kids' kaleidoscopes and it really just is an explosion of colour. There's no cohesiveness. You know, there's no colour theory there. It's just literally all the colours. There we go. I'm not going to... See, I'm not really going to plan this out too much. And the colours that I'm mixing here, I'm just going to use them one at a time, because the chances of me being able to replicate them if I run out accurately, I mean, is going to be pretty slim. I think as well I'd kind of like to use this this colour here. I'm kind of scared to do this though, because we've established that we might not have the best time here with this here fine liner markers. Okay, yeah, that's giving me like galaxy vibes there. As in the sky, not as in the British chocolate bar. Oh, yeah, we could go with that idea. It's done the same here, so although I've mixed those in a palette, you can clearly see the separation between the blue and the pink. If I zoom in a little bit, you might be able to see that better. I am inclined to think that that's more to do with the paper rather than the markers themselves. I could be completely wrong, I'm not entirely sure about stuff like that. Okay, yeah, so let's try and make a kind of lime green colour now as well. Let's talk about this type of box, because I was just thinking there when I went to dig out this palette and my paintbrush, like, this is fun, I'm enjoying myself, the supplies are really nice, and, you know, all this is fun and really nice, I'm just not. Like, it's not for any particular reason either, I'm just not that excited about boxes like this. Markers don't excite me, and the very fact that I'm sitting here with a palette and a paintbrush, I'm not even using them as markers. That's a thing for me. I don't know why I've got such a bee in my bonnet about that, but like, what's the point? I might as well just be using watercolour. I don't really know what my point is in telling you all this, but I think it's more that it's okay to get boxes that you wouldn't be super excited about it, because if you got super excited about every box, you would get tired fairly quickly, I think. But boxes like this are the kind of boxes that I can enjoy, have fun with, and be like, you know what, that was a good box. That's the way I feel about these boxes. Whereas when we got things like the scratch art box, I talked about that a week or two ago about scratch art and how it's accessible to everybody. Like, I was super excited. I was also super inspired as well. You know, not just from the point of view of trying some scratch art, but to do more with the rest of my art. And you're not going to get, every box is not going to land with you like that, because everyone's got preferences and everyone's got things that make them tick. I just find it interesting, and I kind of feel bad for not getting super excited about these boxes. But it's the old marker trio, right? It's a tried and tested combination, and especially in this case, it's brilliant because you've got the primary colours. You can go more or less anywhere you want with that. It gives you a lot of freedom to do things like your, you know, your challenges and things here. But it's just not something that makes me tick personally. But, you know, you guys know, I mean, I've been unboxing these a long time now, and that's not necessarily, you know, it's not a bad thing, and it's certainly not a poor reflection on the company that's produced the box. Okay, so I'm going to use a watered down yellow now and just put a little bit more of a pattern in these empty spaces. And then after that, I'm going to let that completely dry, and I'm going to go in with the markers in their raw form, and I'm going to start overlaying and overlapping, because that's how kaleidoscopes work. I see that, that's international sign language for kaleidoscope. Yes, I'm going to do that over the top and, you know, really get the intricacy going, akin to what our lovely featured artist has achieved here. So very lightly watered down. I have got a wet brush here. See, that's really uneven on that side. Come on, Gem. There we go. Right, okay, so we'll let that dry out just now. Not really sure what I'm going to do about this here now. It's kind of ruined things for me. Okay, so I'm just going to load this up with more. Okay, so now for this pattern here, let's see what we are going to do here. I'm going to start with the blue, and I'm going to start with the chisel tip, because that seems like a great idea. And I'm actually going to use it just to stamp. So what that's doing is giving me a much more consistent mark compared to the paintbrush. And already it's starting to look more kaleidoscopy. Kaleidoscopy. So I've just got to repeat these, obviously. I've got a lot of backwash here. I don't know what's happened here. I don't know what's going on down there, but I'm just going to leave it be. I'm just literally making this up as I go along. I've talked about this a little bit before, and about the pressure that people put on themselves when they're creating art. This is something that I've just taken off the top of my head. I haven't planned. Normally I would like draft sketches and, you know, really go for it. I have learned completely, especially with these Scrawlr challenges and the upgrade battles, to completely let go of that and just enjoy myself. And I tell you what, you might not produce some top-notch art that you're going to sell or, you know, give as a gift or something, but it's much better for your brain. I do not expect anything. We have had odd times where things that have come out of these challenges have led to redraws and things, and you know, we've got stickers out of them. Most of you will remember Mecha Moggy and company. That came from a Scrawlr challenge. So it's not to say that you know, it's a complete waste of time. It's absolutely not. I just feel, especially with social media, people put so much pressure on themselves. Obviously, we all want to improve. We want to get better. We want to be good at what we do. But sometimes there's just no need. Like, there is no way, and okay, this is over a 24-hour period, not normally, you know, normally I run this one into the other straight away. There's no way in a 24-hour period I can consistently, twice a month, spit out a perfect artwork based on some random supplies that have been given in a box. Like, come on. So, you know, all I'm saying is don't be hard on yourself, guys. Like, just enjoy it, just have fun. Like, I'm like, this isn't any massive piece of art. Do I care? No. Does my kaleidoscope look pretty? Yes. Is that the most important thing right now? Yes. So don't be, if you are one of those overly critical people like me, because I'm my own worst enemy and people tell me all the time, do you know what? Just try and let go of it. It is really hard. Like, it's like telling somebody not to breathe. I get that. But it's doable, because I am a pretty regimented person. I have learned to let go. It's taken 5 years, but I have learned to let go. Okay, I'm really not happy. You can see this sort of backwash situation that's going on here. I've got a tied line. That shouldn't have happened, but nonetheless. But weirdly, I kind of just want to go with this. So I'm going to grab my wee teeny tiny Posca. And I'm just going to make this, I'm assuming it's dry enough now. I'm just going to make this like a galaxy situation here. Yeah, put some stars in that. There we go, guys. Really quick Scrawlr challenge for you today, because this is going to be a long video. So, final thoughts here. Love the prompt. So many colours. These Ecoline Duo-Tip pens, they're very similar to the original. Like, it's the same contents that are in these markers. So I knew these were going to be fairly good and they were going to mix well together. They do work really well in palette form here. I had absolutely no problems with that at all. Had quite good fun with that too. it's back to, again, practicality. I am a practical person. We're about to move. I will not use these pens. So these, along with the things that I mentioned at the start of the video, will be in the stash shop for you. So you can nip over there if this is something you'd like to try. And most of you will know by now the prices. We try and keep them very reasonable over at the stash shop. So that is it for today, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on this box, what you thought of these markers. Anybody got outside the box thinking for the prompt kaleidoscope? Would love to know. And I will see you back in the cave on Wednesday for the live stream, and then on Thursday for a normal video. So I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.